guys, and welcome to the round 2 wrap-up. A much better week this week than round 1 was. Round 1, I kind of want to forget round 1. Kind of hoping, I'm just going to take it as round 2 was the beginning of my year. Round 2 was significantly better. Guys like Heaney, Bontempelli, Butters as captain was fucking amazing. Massive 175 as captain. Now, by the way, speaking of that, if you guys wanted to see my captain choice every week, I do post it on my TikTok, I do post it on the YouTube, I do post it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's on all those things. So if you wanted to hear my captain choice from last week and follow it, you would have gotten a 175. So do make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment, blah, blah, blah. Do all those things, whether you're listening to it on Spotify, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're watching and listening to this, make sure to follow me so then you can also get onto those 175s from Butters. I'm taking full credit of Butters' performance as if I've had something to do with it, which I did not. But I'm going to take credit for it. And we've got a big episode. I want to talk about some mid-prices. There's a lot of price rises this week. I want to talk about some premiums that are about to go up in price, as well as some other players that you might want to get off on. I myself am getting off a couple of guys this week, and I'll tell you all about it. I also did something a little different this week. I've actually asked you guys for questions, and I was surprised with how many people actually asked questions. I had a few on Twitter and quite a few on Facebook as well, so I will be going down the list and I will be answering all your questions as promised last week. So that's a little bit of a first for Nerds for Life Supercoach in general. I've never done that before, so I will answer your questions as best I can. I also wanted to talk about Briggs. Finally, my POD paid off a massive 139 against West Coast, and it was just fantastic to watch. But then I had a decent score, but I had to wear Short and Young in the back line, as well as Dacos, who all just did not do very well. And then I got a massive 3 from Caulfield. So defense is looking a little average, but I'm making some changes, which you can probably see on screen. You can probably guess who they are, as you can no longer see Short and Young in my team, and instead have D, Ambrosio, and Ryan. That's the way I'm going, but I will explain a little bit more as to why I've gone down that route. But first, let's go into the discussions, and that is your questions. So I'll start with Twitter. All right, so let's go into Twitter. Let's take a quick look and see what some of these are, because I have totally prepared for this. JS on Twitter has asked me about Tom Powell. Now, Tom Powell is someone that I did want to bring up anyway, so that's a good thing. Tom Powell is currently the second most traded in player that I am not picking. And there is a reason for that, and I'll explain why. Before I do, I just want to say there are 12,000 coaches that have brought him in. He's got a really good midfield rotation. I think last week, that was in round 1, he was this North Melbourne's second highest CBA attendee. And over the weekend, in round 2, he was their highest CBA attendee. So he is in the rotation along with LDU and Wardlaw. He's got a negative 47 BE, and he's just come off a 95 and 129. The guy is projected to score an 80, which, let's be real, it'll probably do against Carlton, especially with the role he's got. He's got a negative 47 BE. He's going to make you a shitload of money. But he does have that awkward starting price, and because of that, I myself am not picking him. And the reason being is I've been burnt off way too many mid-prices this season. This year I wanted to go into the season with maybe one mid-pricer and the rest guns and rookies. And then it came to the start of the year, and at round 0, I decided to tear my team apart and put guys like Nick Martin and Holmes. Actually, I'm happy with Holmes. And Rankin and Grundy and fucking Short and basically everybody in my team who I really wish I didn't put in my team. So for me personally, if you've got a mid-pricer that you're hating on, for example, a Nick Martin, and you want to trade, or Rankin, and you want to trade these guys out because the mid-prices aren't doing great, don't replace him with another mid-pricer who could, in reality, bang out another 50. Yeah, he's had 2 games. He's had 2 great games, but there's no reason he's going to continue having those great games. Remember that Nick Martin has an amazing role too, and it hasn't worked out that well. There is every chance that Powell will also not work out. But there's also every chance that he might turn out to be a top 6, top 7 forward. Without DDP selection, our forward line is looking kind of average still. I mean, yeah, we have McRae who had 47 disposals in the VFL. He could come in. Heaney's looking amazing. Yeah, you got Luke Jackson. Rankin's not looking too bad. He's averaging 89. I'm not too fussed. I'm going to go into Rankin a little bit later on. And Flanders, of course. Flanders has been amazing, and that's a decent bunch. But then it really just nosedives from there. Powell could be that player, but I'm not taking another risk on a mid-pricer myself. If you've got everything right in your team and you're looking good, you've nailed everything, and you go, you know what? Yeah, I could take a punt on a mid-pricer. I don't mind it. But if you're scrambling guys out like Nick Martin and Young and who knows who else, you're just scrambling those guys out of your team because they have not performed. I personally will not be taking another risk on a mid-pricer if my initial mid-pricer risks didn't work. So that's my opinion. Moving on. Jimmy, or Jim E on Twitter. From Jesse Hogan, would you go down to Mackay or Powell? You've already got my answer on Powell. Jesse Hogan was a great punt, but there's no guarantee that Powell is a keeper. Now, if you're going from Jesse Hogan, you're going to want to put in a keeper. And Powell might not be that keeper. Mackay is definitely not that keeper. Yeah, he's got a low BE. Yeah, he's got some good opponents coming up. But fuck, how expensive is Mackay? Harry Mackay is, what is that? 398k. He scored a 130 and a 112. He's done well, and then he's got North Melbourne, who he probably will score well against. Freo actually have been doing okay, but they've got some backline carnage, and then Adelaide, who he actually does not score well against. Myself, you're bringing in Mackay for another 2 games. Do you really want to go? Would you really want to bring in Hogan for a couple of games, then trade Hogan out, bring in Mackay for a couple of games, and then trade him out again? I just don't see it. I think I'd rather you've made all this money from Hogan. Why are you bringing in Mackay, who is not guaranteed to go 116? He's not guaranteed to do that. Yeah, he's going to make you money, but I don't know, you're just banking another trade in the future. I would very much rather I would very much rather pick a player that I think is going to be there all the way to round 24, rather than picking another player that is a mid-pricer that might make you some cash, and then you just trade him out in a couple of weeks. Because what happens if you've got other injuries? What happens if you've got other concerns that you are more pressing than Mackay, and now you've got to leave Mackay in for round 5 against Adelaide? Ugh, gross. Nah, I wouldn't do that. Not at all. Don't like it at all. Jack Parsons, Jordan Dawson owners. I may be one. What do we do? Oh, hold him. He was one of the top scoring Dream Team players over the weekend. He did an amazing job for Dream Team owners. He's been one of Adelaide. I think he's been Adelaide's largest CBA attendee. Don't get rid of him. Dawson is currently scoring average purely because of his kicking efficiency. No, it has nothing to do with his impact. He's getting tackles. He's finding the footy. He's getting the CBAs. The role is there. He's just not disposing it well. And by the way, I just want to point out that I'm pretty sure he's got Fremantle this week. And it doesn't matter that Dawson's going to lose you a little bit of money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because if you think he's a keeper, then he's a keeper. It doesn't matter if it fluctuates up and down a little bit, because you're keeping him. He's got Fremantle, who, look at this record, 173, 98, and 145. Freo is his best scoring opponent. best scoring opponent. Then he's got Melbourne, who's also got an amazing record against, and then the Blues, who's got an amazing record against. Huge records. I personally will not be taking out Jordan Dawson. If he loses you a little bit of cash, so be it, especially if he's a keeper. But this is the kind of guy who I think can really turn it around. You know, I think he had seven turnovers on the weekend. He cleans up 4 of those turnovers, and that's 100 plus. That's a 100-point game. What did he score? 96. That's a 120-point game. Don't get rid of Dawson. Hold him. I'm not a fan of getting rid of premiums. Now, I know that I did make a tweet about considering getting rid of Briggs. I'm not doing it. It was just some last minute, I just wanted to think about it. I'm not a fan of trading out premiums for other premiums unless that premium is injured or playing like dog shit. Dawson is playing average, not horrible. There's definitely no warning bells there, okay? He's playing average footy. If that is his worst, if an 89 average is his worst, you're doing okay, to be honest. He's very unlikely he's going to pump out a 50 like a Nick Martin. Butters also wrong by the real Stewie Fraser. Butters also wrong. Now, I went Butters purely because I just think that Butters has that little bit of an upside. I can see Butters averaging 115 points this season. I really can. And he's got the best mid-season bye, along with Freo. So Freo and Port Adelaide have the best mid-season buys. And I personally am going to be stacking up on Fremantle and Port Adelaide players leading into the mid-season buys. They've got no early buys. Sarong has started on fire. And I love it. But Butters has not started too much worse than him. Actually, I think they might be averaging similar amounts. Sarong... What's he averaging? Sarong's averaging a 155 and Butters averaging a 146. It's whatever. Both have had those 170 plus games. Now, he's played North Melbourne, who are pretty average, and Butters has played West Coast, who are probably a little even more average. Sarong has West Coast coming up in a few weeks, though, and he also has Richmond, the Dogs. He's got some decent players. He also plays Richmond again in the back half of the season, along with West Coast and Port Adelaide. Butters. Now, we're going to go to Butters, and he has a little bit of a different draw. Now, he's already played the Eagles, and he's got Melbourne, who's got a massive score against last year. Essendon, Freo. His run is not as juicy as Sarong's is, in my opinion. Essendon's pretty decent. If you're going to pick between the two, I don't see a massive difference between the two personally. Sarong has started this season in incredible form, and I honestly can see him averaging 110, 115 as well. It looks like he is, at the moment, Freo's best midfielder, and I can't see that changing all too much. Brayshaw has started the season well, but he's getting a little bit of wing time. Fife has started well as well. I just see Sarong... I honestly can see Sarong winning All-Australian this year and having a massive season. Sarong is definitely one of my trade-in targets, and I'm thinking about bringing him in, though I will have to boost to do it, and I haven't decided yet myself. For me, I'd pick Sarong based on price. However, I think Butters will have greater ceiling spike games. So it kind of depends on the rest of your team, as well as who you're thinking of trading out. I think you're going to be fine either way. I don't think you're going to be just disappointed either way. Both are going up in price rapidly. I don't know, but both, honestly, both are probably incredible picks. I'd be happy with either one of them. I've got Butters. I was thrilled with Butters' performance. I want Sarong badly, but I'm going to have to do a boost to get Sarong, and I don't know if I want to use a second boost. I'll make that decision a little bit later on. If I do a boost, it will be for Nick Martin. I just haven't made that choice yet. Just yet. But I think that both are essentials. If you can get both, just get both. If you can get both, get both. That's that. So they're the questions off Twitter. Now, there are a few on Facebook as well. Bear with me, there are quite a few on Facebook, but I have a feeling they're going to be very, very similar. Is Tom Powell a get from Connor Fielder? I've already discussed that. Again, if you've done really well throughout the start of the season, go for it. But if you're trading a mid-pricer for another mid-pricer, I don't like it. Trading Young and Sam Berry to Ryan McKercher, but wanted your thoughts on Malera Powell option instead. Also, could Heaney be captain option this week? I'll get into captains in a minute, but trading Young and Sam Berry to Ryan and McKercher is definitely the route that I would go. I love Malera, but I can see Malera averaging 100 as a best case scenario. He started amazingly, but you've got to remember Sinclair has been out of the team injured, and then he's come back and he scored okay, but he didn't really dominate that much. I can see Wayne Malera's form maybe dropping a little bit to a 95% average to 100. I wouldn't be going from Young to Malera. You made a risk on Young, don't then go to a Malera, which is another risk. I would go to Ryan, who is probably a safer option, and he also has that Freo logic that I mentioned before with the better mid-round buy and no early season buy. Captain option, as I said, I'll go into that in a little bit of a moment. I'm not a fan of trading Berry so soon, by the way. I think that Berry's still got money to make. But if Berry is your chance to get McKercher, get McKercher. Honestly, at all costs, everybody. If you do not have McKercher, you get McKercher. McKercher and Sanders. That's it. You get them. Move heaven and earth, move heaven and hell to get those players. Jack Higgins has asked me, what's more of a priority? Trading Young or Gibcus to Massimo? Holding Young if I trade Gibcus out? Or trading Young to a primo defender like Ryan Sheasel-Stewart? Holy shit, if you do not have Sheasel, get Sheasel. That is it. If you've got Young and you can go to Sheasel, you get Sheasel. There's no reason to hold Gibcus as well. There's no reason to hold Gibcus. If you can get rid of Gibcus, do it. But trading Young or Gibcus to Massimo, personally, if you could do something like go Massimo, D'Ambrosio, and Sheasel, I'd be doing that. If you could do that, perfect. That is your perfect trade for the week. Just do that. Honestly, Sheasel should be an absolute lock for everybody. What to do with Dawson? Everyone's saying the Rolls is still there, but I feel with Crouch back, he's impacting Dawson's scoring. There's David Wool. Tom Powell, the real deal. I've already answered this. Thank you, David. Or Dave. I don't think it's Crouch that's having the impact, actually. I think that it's a pretty even mix. They've got to do something, Adelaide, and I don't think pulling Dawson out of CBAs is going to be the thing that boosts them up the ladder. I feel like Rankin being injected in there might be the thing that gets them running, personally. And I'm going to stick to that for a little bit longer. Tom Powell or Fife. If Fife is fit, Fife. But he's got a niggling back injury at the moment. Now, if that means he's rested this week, you go Powell. If Fife is playing, I'm going to go Fife. He's got DDP and he's got the Fremantle thing. He's also proven. He's a dual Brownlow medalist. Are we really asking ourselves if we want a dual Brownlow medalist in our side who scored 100 a couple of weeks ago, or Tom Powell? Tex Dixon, pick Fife. Ben Leonard, is Jordan Clark a real option? I really like Jordan Clark, actually. I really like him. Actually, Jack Higgins went into this a little bit. Only Sarong has higher CBAs than Young so far this season. Fife and Brayshaw attended both 48 CBAs with North, blah, blah, blah. Young has the midfield role and should be able to clean up his DE soon. Main reason is low scores. The question really is, can we afford to hold Young in the hope? No, I'm not holding Young at all. Young, to me, was a player that could average 100 to 105 for this season and potentially make me a little bit of cash, and then maybe use towards my final team. Or if he went a little bit better, keep him. I just don't see that anymore. I really don't. I think that maybe this isn't the breakout year that we were expecting for me. No, Young is... You get off Young. Clark is doing well. I do like the pick. But again, I wouldn't be going from Young to Clark. I would very much rather be paying up for a Luke Ryan or a Sheasel if you don't have Sheasel, or someone like Massimo going even lower who's going to make you a lot more money. That's just my opinion. I like the Clark role. If you started Clark, great. You've done a great job. But I wouldn't be going young to Clark myself, personally. Shane Christopher, is Bramble a good trade in? Absolutely not. Please do not bring... You know what? Actually, Shane, bring in Bramble, please. Please bring in Bramble. No, don't bring in Bramble. Shane and I have had a few messages privately over Bramble as well. Look, I don't mind the shout. All right, look, let's take a quick look at Bramble. He's someone that has DDP. He's got a defensive mid switch, which means you can switch him with Dacos and a few others once they get DDP. He started well. His next opponent's West Coast. He's got 107 and 84. He's averaging okay. All right, he's doing all right, but at 292, he's got that awkward starting price. What's his BE? His BE's negative 26. He'll make you some money, but I can see 100k max from him, and I can see players that are cheaper that could probably make more money for you than that. I don't like it. I just really don't like it. It's a no from me. Yeah, it's definitely a no from me. Especially, actually, with Jack Macrae scoring 47 disposals in the VFL, it is a fuck no from me. Because if he comes in, I can see Bramble scoring really being affected. Why shouldn't... this is Matty Bernardo. Why shouldn't I trade Sexton for Dempsey? Easy cash. I don't mind it. I still think Sexton has a lot more money to make. By the way, on Sexton, and I did want to bring this out later on, but since you've mentioned it, Matty, I'll talk about it here. Don't worry about Sexton's poor score over the weekend. He did have a positional change, and that is because Bailey Humphrey was a late withdrawal from the side, which meant that it meant that Sexton was moved up the ground. He actually played a lot of forward and on the wing. If you go look at his heat map, it went from halfback to around the wing and further up the ground, and that really impacted his scoring. For me, he's got a really low BE still. He's got a lot more money to make, and with Humphrey back probably after the bye, I can see Sexton moving back into that halfback position and his scoring going up as a result. Dempsey is quick money to make. If you don't have players on the field this week, I would do it, but I can see Dempsey's scoring fluctuating. He's not playing a great role. Yeah, he did score well. Yeah, he's got a really good BE. He's probably going to make you 100k like that, but after that, the next 50k will probably be a slow burn. Daniel Prosciutto. Yeah, I think I did well with that. With Jack Macrae being a chance for round 3, will Sanders have less of an impact with Macrae's presence? Quite possibly. Yeah, definitely. But he's got a 99 in his rolling average. He's got a low BE. And then also, if another player goes down, or if a player gets moved to the forward line, which Macrae's been done in the past, maybe Sanders goes, I don't know. Personally, I don't know how to make it. It's the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs have about 30 midfielders that are A-grade that could run through that midfield. And Bevo likes to give them all an opportunity week in, week out. And then one week it's, Libba, the next week it's Bont, the next week it's Macrae, the next week it's Sanders. I don't know when it comes to the Dogs. I hate picking Dogs players as a result. If Macrae's in the side, I'd be probably benching Sanders personally. What to do, but keep Sanders. Don't get rid of him. What to do apart from deleting the... This is Josh. Joash Key. Sorry, I've butchered the name. I'm sorry about that. What to do apart from deleting the app, having short, young Gimkus reading Caulfield in my backline? Oh, mate, I feel sorry for you. But I feel your pain because I've got all of them and I've had to dump them all. For me, get rid of Gimkus, get rid of Short, get rid of Young. If you can't get rid of all three, maybe hold Short. He's the one that I would be more tempted to hold. Or keep Gibcus. Get rid of Short and Young, keep Gibcus, because he's not going up and down on price. Caulfield and Reid, I'm going to hold on to. I know Caulfield can be out for up to 3 months, but there's no immediate trade-in. Pink is not secure. I don't think Pink has the job security. I think that he could be taken out of the side still. Nyon is a chance of coming back soon, and that might pull Pink out of the team, I think. I don't think Nyon has actually played, has he? How do I spell his name? Oh my god, how do I spell it? Bioga. I butchered his name too. No, don't know. Anyway, I've failed that completely. Let's take a look. Alright, let's pretend. Let's look for this player. Let's go North Melbourne. Then we're going to sort by lowest price. Biggie Nugent. But I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. I don't think he's played yet. He could push for that side. He looked really good over the summer. But he's had a couple of injury niggles, which is why he hasn't played yet. He has not played yet. So he is subject to a fitness test. In reality, he is really pushing Toby. He could push Toby Pink out of the side. And Toby Pink is a slow burn. He's got a low break even. It's 32, negative 32. He's got a projected score of 34. Like, he might make you 50k. He's going to struggle to make you 100k. I don't like it at all. So, sorry, mate. You've had a bad start. I've had the same start. For me, I'd be just holding Reid and Caulfield. Reid is probably going to come back soon in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I believe. At least Short will score something. I'd be getting rid of Young and Gibcus, actually. Yeah, just get rid of Young and Gibcus. If you can get Howes, get Howes. If you can get Ambrosio, get Ambrosio. Williams will go up in price too. I'd be going for those guys. If not, go up, try to get a Sheasel or if you can get Young to Sheasel, you've done well. Do that. Honestly, do that. Let's see. That's it. They're the questions for the week. Great. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys, for your contributions. I'll be doing this every week. That has been a lot of rambling on questions. We've spent a lot of time on questions, and fair enough. I mean, I've gotten a lot of them, and I need to answer them. I'd be wrong if I didn't. Now, I've talked a lot about guys like Luke Ryan and Sarong, Tom Powell. I think Ambrosio is a lock. He's got a ridiculous BE. Let's take a look. His BE is like in the negatives. For me, the guys that you need to really be looking into is Ambrosio, negative 82. He's going to make it he can make it 200k very easy, and he's actually scoring well too. He's averaging 104 for the season so far. He won't keep that up, but you know what? If you could average in the 80s, as well as especially during these bye weeks, make it 200k, then you piss him off to a primo. You've done well. Now, for me, I've traded in Luke Ryan, as I mentioned this week. I've also traded in Ambrosio, and I'm considering trading out Nick Martin for the ilk of Sarong. But Nick Martin, I just want to point out, his role is still there. He got 32 disposals in the weekend. Cleaned up his disposal efficiency from the previous week, but still was a little bit mad. He's probably going to drop 20k. He's most likely going to drop 20k. We thought he was going to make money, but he's probably not. St Kilda have a pretty average defence. St Kilda have a pretty average forward line in the sense that defenders do very well against them. He could score 100 for you. So that's why I think maybe holding him for a week, let him score his 100, and maybe moving him on to next week. I've got quite a bit of cash in the kitty. I really want to use that for a Miller type. For myself or Flanders next week. I obviously am not going to bring in Miller or Flanders this week because they're on their bye. So I can easily still switch a Martin to a Miller next week if need be. Myself, and that's probably what I might do. Or I use the boost to get Sarong. I haven't really made the final decision on that yet. I just don't want to use a boost again so early. I just really don't want to do that at all. For me, Miller is definitely the target next week. I don't know how I'm going to get him in. I need to figure that out. That's next week's issue. Rookies that I'm keeping an eye on. Now, as I mentioned, if you guys don't have McKercher, you get McKercher. If you don't have Sanders, you get Sanders. Roberts still, because both of those guys are on the bubble, they're going to make a shit ton of money. Roberts still has money to make, but if you haven't started him, I think you could still start him because he will trade him in now. He still probably will make another 100k on top of this. He's averaging well. He's got the role. It looks good. He's going to get DDP. You're going to move him to the back line later on. And the other reason I want to talk about keeping Caulfield and Reid is because Roberts will eventually move into that backline position, and then you could, or even Holmes or Martin, and then you could put them into the backline, and then take Reid and Caulfield out and trade them out for midfielders later on in the season. who will typically score better than defensive rookies. So there is that as well, and that's kind of the route that I'm taking. Now, Sharp is, for me, the third for me, if Dempsey will make you more money, but I think Sharp will score better. So if you're thinking of bringing in a rookie to field, I would be picking Sharp, who will still make you 150k easy. And he's got a good buy structure, as I mentioned, but Dempsey will probably make you more cash, but I wouldn't be putting him in my field, if that makes sense. So it really depends on what type of rookie you want. Do you want a rookie on your bench, or do you want a rookie on the field? If you want a rookie on the field, I'll be looking at Sharp. Sharp looks real good. And he scored a 70, I think, in round 1 and a 68 in round 2. To me, Sharp will be consistent. He'll be averaging around the 65 to 70 mark. That's pretty good for an on-field rookie. Dean, if he's back, he could be a trade-out option if you're really wanting to go from rookie to rookie. If he's on a bubble, but I don't rate his job security. Hoare, I don't like it. Marty Hall looked good in his first game for Melbourne. He missed round 0. He missed round 1. He missed round 0. He played round 1, scored 60 odd, and then in round 2 was the sub and scored 12. I don't like it. I see sub risk written all over him. I would not be picking Marty Hoare on the bubble at all. Dean is a maybe. I still don't like it. Jack Carroll looks fantastic. I think the role is really there. It looks like he's soaking up a bunch of CBAs while in Sam Doherty's absence. I really like it. For me, McKercher, Sanders, Carroll. They're the 3 best rookies at the moment that you need to snap up. If you don't have Howes, I mean, it's not too late. You can still get him. The price rises are there. Still to be made, but you probably missed... You haven't missed the boat, but you won't make as much cash. I think, and Roberts is also important. Like, those are the guys that you need to get in your team. If you don't have those guys, you get those guys in your team. Cadman, you've missed the boat. He's already played North and West Coast. I wouldn't be bringing him in, though. He's getting ruck minutes, which I don't mind. Berry, I still think, has a lot more cash to make. Wilson, I think he's pretty solid. I think that you should be bringing him in if you haven't already started him. He's got a low BE. Manor and Clark with the 3 to 4 week injury that Dangerfield has, I can see either Clark or Manor really benefiting from that. Clark got a lot more of the footy, looked a lot better in round 2, but fumbled it a bit. That score could really tick up in the right role, especially with Dangerfield out. Manor looked great early on and then kind of fell off the face of the earth in the later half of that game. Might get a lot more of the footy now with Dangerfield out of the side. I like both personally. I wouldn't be trading in either of these two if you haven't already got them, though. I mean, yes, they'll make you money. Yes, they're pretty good, but I feel like there's better options out there in the sense of Roberts, McKercher, Sanders. Those sort of players are definitely better. I actually think that Sharp is better than both Clark and Manor, but I don't want to burn a trade going from rookie to rookie. I don't see that being beneficial. I see the benefit in Nick Martin being traded to Sarong. Definitely. I definitely see that benefit. Then I could just never watch any Essendon game for the rest of the season and be totally fine with literally never doing that. But that would... I don't know. I still don't know if I want to use a boost so early. But I guess we'll see. That's the run sheet. That's the run sheet. I've crapped on for quite some time again. Now, captain choices. Now, I nailed this last week. I absolutely fucking nailed this last week with Butters as my captain choice. I was screaming out Butters. I made a secondary video telling everyone to get Butters in the team as captain. He scores well against Richmond and he continued to do so. Richmond's midfield do not shut down opposition midfielders. And honestly, I think that's the logic I'm going to go to for most of my season. But let's take a look at the game day. Now, this is an extended round. I personally hate this week, and because, well, not that I hate this weekend, but I just find it annoying. It just drags out so much, because it goes from Thursday all the way to Monday, and I just kind of want the day to, I just want the round to be done. I'll have 3 players playing in this game. Anyway, Brisbane versus Collingwood. Now, Dacos doesn't have a massive record against the Lions, but I could see why you'd go for it. I don't mind the Dacos pick personally. If I do have Dacos, and I probably will be VCing him unless I bring in a Sarong. Or even, actually, I don't, you know who else I don't mind? I take it back. Yeah, I really take it back. Oh, yeah, nah, I'm not VCing. Nah, not VCing Nick Dacos in this game. Nah, not happening. I understand if you do. I think that is a great choice. I don't like anyone from Brisbane as a VC personally. But Collingwood, I understand if you want to VC Nick Dacos, I can see the potential there. But I think that the VC is definitely better in the round. And I think it was touched on by someone in the questions. North Melbourne versus Carlton, I don't like anyone from this game as a VC option, and definitely not a C option. Maybe a Cripps, maybe, but nah, don't like it. Freo versus Adelaide, I don't mind Laird in this game. I really don't mind Laird in this game at all. I don't know what Laird scores, so let's see if we go to Supercoach. Let's see if I can get a Laird's app, score up. Loading. And while we're on that, I don't mind Sarong in this game as well. I could see a very viable option here in Sarong and Laird, but I just want to see what Laird averages against the Dockers. He started over... Oh, no, he doesn't actually average well against the Dockers. Oh, big against Melbourne and Carlton. All right. I wouldn't be liking... Nah, don't pick Laird for this game. No, don't do it. But next week, definitely a good option. But don't, yeah, no, I wouldn't be picking Laird. But Sarong, I don't mind for this game. I think if you're gonna do a VC in either the Thursday or the Friday, for me, Sarong is the way to go. He's in form, he looks good. Do that. Essendon versus St Kilda, probably a merit if you really want to go down that role. If you're one of the few coaches that have picked merit, he started well. He's averaging 129 already. Nah, don't like that either. He'll probably get a Windhager tag. Nah, hate it. Nah, absolutely not. Don't do that. Literally don't do that at all. I wouldn't even go to Steele. Nah, just ignore that game. Now, this is tempting. You could put a VC. Now, this depends on who your loop is, right? But a lot of us are going to have Caulfield on our bench. And a lot of us are going to have that Livingston loop, okay, from the Eagles. If you've got either Caulfield or the Eagles on your bench, Livingston on your bench, you can do this play, and this is probably the play I'm going with, and that is Butters against the Demons. And so I'm just going to put a sneaky little V on Butters. Let's take a look. Now, I did look at this before, and he did score a massive 184 last year, but the previous 2 years he didn't score. 2 games he didn't score great. But that massive 184 is tantalizingly tempting. Now, he's going to be playing... He did do that at Adelaide Oval. Where are they playing this week? Where are they playing? It doesn't tell me. AFL.com.au. Where are they playing? Let's take a look. They are playing... Man, my internet's shit. Matches, fixture. They are playing at Adelaide Oval again. Perfect. This is the play I'm making. I'm going to be doing Zach Butters, and if it works out, I've got some players that are not playing because they're buys, but I've also got Livingston, I've also got Caulfield. I've got options. I've got a lot of options. Just take the emergency off, read. In preparation, I've got a lot of options here, and I like it. And I think this is the way to go. Butters as VC on the Sunday night, on the Saturday night against Melbourne, I really like. I like it a little bit better than Sarong as well. We should have loop options late on a Sunday. So if it works, I mean, you're laughing, you know. Now Sunday is where all the captain choices are. The Bulldogs versus West Coast. If you've got Bont, do Bont. If you've got English against Bailey Williams, I am very tempted, but he actually doesn't have the best record against West Coast. English. He's got a good record against West Coast, but it's not that great, which I found quite surprising against the Eagles. Like, he scored only 118 last year. He scored 160 the year before that, and then a 57 the year before that. It's not a brilliant record against the Eagles myself, but look at this. 162 last year. Holy crap. And I remember this. This actually, I almost lost my draft league grand final purely because I picked English over, I said almost lost, I didn't, because I picked English as captain over Bontempelli as captain in this game, and English scored 118 and Bont scored 162, and it went down neck and neck, and I was like shitting myself because that should have just been locked in, done and dusted, but it went down to the final game because I fucked that up. But yeah, Bont definitely. If your VC doesn't work, I think that Bont is the safest choice, honestly. If Zach Butters doesn't go absolutely ballistic against Melbourne, I'll be going Bont as captain. The next game is also interesting because Heaney against Richmond should also be a decent blowout. However, keep an eye on the fact that Taylor Adams has been named as a test. I don't know if that's going to affect Heaney's scoring, but if it does, I wouldn't be putting Heaney as captain. Actually, with the Bont playing against West Coast, I wouldn't be picking Heaney as captain anyway. Just go Bont. And your captain and VC should have played well before the Monday game. I don't like anyone in this game. Don't pick anyone from this game. Just get your VCs and Cs done earlier than that. Go the safe option. Anyway, that's me. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify if you're listening to it there. Follow our Twitter because I give all my captaincy updates and VC updates on my Twitter, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. This is where I keep up to date with all my news and posts, injury news, preseason news. I know the preseason is done. All sorts of notes like that. I promise you it will help, unless you followed my advice and you VC'd Briggs in round 1, then maybe that one I didn't get as right. But you know what? I made up for it the week after. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back same time, same place next week. Have a good weekend, guys.